the LaPorte County government. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call may be recorded. If you know your party's extension, for county clerks, press 1. For courts, press 2. Probation, press 3. For circuit court, press 1. For the Self-Help Center, press 2. For Michiana Adult Advocacy, press 3. For Veterans Court, press 4. For Problem Solving Court, press 5. For Superior 1, press 6. Superior 2, press 7. Superior 3, press 8. Superior 4. Superior Court 3.
Yes, I'm calling in regards to a civil matter that was filed in Superior 3.
Okay.
And it was transferred based upon a lack of subject matter jurisdiction. But the clerk's office has essentially what I'm trying to figure out is if the Judge Thorne of Superior 3 has filed a recusal as a conflict of interest in this cause, or if he's only recused on the record due to subject matter jurisdiction.
Okay, do you have my case? You were looking it up
No. Yeah, I do. I'm looking at it right now. That's why I'm calling about is something that's been on the docket. So
what is the case number?
46 DO3 1811 PL 1920. If you don't mind me asking, is this Mr. Ritter?
Yes.
This is Chris Throgmorton.
Yes, sir.
How are you this morning?
I'm good.
All right, so what I'm trying to...
I'm hoping I can tell you because I'm going to look on the... I'll be looking on Odyssey 2, so let me see what...
I'm looking at it with you, so we're on the same page here. All right, so...
just a minute. I've got to get to it first, so...
Not a problem.
Okay, so, are you... Let's see. Let me look and see what we have here.
Yeah, now that you're looking at it, if you give me a second, I can probably frame my question a little more specific. Okay, so Judge Thorne recused. This was filed in October of 2018. He files a findings of fact and conclusions of law on October 2nd of this year. And
October 2nd. Oh, okay, let me look at that.
then
okay.
It basically, what it states is that I had made a mistake. I was requesting a full bench ruling, but we don't actually, per the statute that this outlines, it's 3 or more judges in one court. We actually have multiple courts, each with one judge. So based upon subject matter jurisdiction, it would actually go back to circuit court per the statute. So he recuses based upon subject matter jurisdiction that's outlined in the statute that would require me to have filed it in circuit court. So based upon trial rules and everything, basically, to fix this without causing a bunch of problems for a pro se litigant, they send it to the appropriate court, and then Alavisos recuses shortly after on the 10th of October. And then Bergerson recuses on the 16th of October. Stallbrink recuses November 14th, and Judge Friedman recuses December 9th, okay? So, to my understanding of the trial rules, this would get kicked back to Superior 3 for a special judge, and because he didn't actually recuse as a conflict of interest. He recused based upon subject matter jurisdiction that's outlined in the statute that would require it to have been sent to circuit court based upon the subject matter jurisdiction. So Kathy Kroback, the clerk, has sent this to Stark Circuit Court. She's to the understanding, based upon my conversations with her, I think she said she was going to speak with you guys, but I imagine she's a little busier today than I am, so I decided to see if I could figure it out. But long story short, Judge Thorne, like I currently have an evidentiary hearing on a public records request denial March 4th. So he's the judge in that. So he's clearly not a conflict of interest. It doesn't make much sense to send me out of the county when, in my opinion, I think the judge would accept this based upon, the other elements of different cases. He's not a conflict of interest in those. I would anticipate he would, accept the special judge appointment for this. So, in my opinion, I'm also sort of, in a way, I'm being forced to disclose my legal strategy because, from my understanding, if Judge Thorne had it sent to him and he did decline acceptance or recuse as conflict of interest, I would be in the position to request it be transferred to the Indiana Supreme Court. So this sort of eliminates that remedy which I would ordinarily have if the trial rules were, followed as they are outlined. So that's what I'm trying to figure out is I can't find anything where he's recused as a conflict of interest in this cost number, only the original recusal that's based upon subject matter jurisdiction. So what I'm trying to figure out is Kathy Krobeck supposed to send this case to his court or not?
And I couldn't tell you, to be truthful with you.
And I mean, I don't want to have an inappropriate conversation with you that could possibly be challenged as me obtaining some sort of tactical advantage. I'm coming from the standpoint of my understanding is that it would remain in this county until all 5 judges had recused. I don't personally I don't drive, I don't have a license, and it's directly related to a disability matter. So putting it outside of the county sort of triggers a bunch of other things that I have to deal with, but at the same time it doesn't really make any sense to send it outside of the county when factually Judge Thorne has yet to recuse. And as a citizen, a member of this county, I reside in LaPorte County, I would think that I would have some sort of right to this venue specifically as well. And Kathy Krobeck's going off of a court order. So that's what I'm sort of, I mean, if it can't be resolved informally, I mean, I would have to challenge her response to Judge Friedman's court order and all that. That's my responsibility, I would suppose. But I'm just sort of making sure that I don't preemptively file something that's unnecessary and waste a bunch of people's time and energy. If it's, I would have thought it would have been easier to just take it right upstairs to Judge Thorne as opposed to send it to another county. But that's sort of what I'm trying to figure out is does the judge have the right to hear this or something?
Okay, you're asking me a question that I can't answer you. Not because I'm prohibited from. I really don't have a clue. Okay.
Right. I mean, I've tried to navigate how this.
I'm looking at Friedman's order that the special judge shall be selected. I'm going back to Judge Thorne's, which the only one that was the October 2nd one, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm not sure what your procedure would be in you're asking a question that's well above my pay grade. I'm just
Right.
trying to figure out a way that you can actually.
No, I understand. There doesn't seem
I'm
to
not,
be much to challenge the way the clerk's office interprets orders and acts upon them.
Judge Friedman's at the end. Special judge shall be selected by the clerk of court pursuant to, and I don't have that trial rule.
Well, see, Kathy Kroback is basing it off of, though, now the local rules would send it out of the county if all the judges had recused, and all the judges have technically recused, but Thorne's recusal isn't a conflict of interest. His is the sole, in the subject matter jurisdiction, which he outlines in that order, it's dissimilar from the other four, which are all based upon a conflict of interest or some sort of what Judge Friedman say, ex parte information, which I can't find a definition for. But his is the original that moves it out of the, like he doesn't actually have discretion to recuse as a conflict of interest because he never had jurisdiction. So, I mean, Ms. Kroback is technically correct, but she doesn't seem to understand trial rule procedure enough to actually circle back to Judge Thorne on this. And that's what I'm sort of wondering is who would be responsible for enforcing the trial rules? The most recent order would be Judge Friedman's, but I mean, nobody's ever accepted jurisdiction, so nobody has discretion to actually order the court to order the clerk to do anything other than find a special judge. There's nothing that really outlines what her restrictions are. It would seem that she's in violation of the original court order that outlines the trial rules.
All right, let's see. I'm trying to read the October one here just to make sure that. No, actually, this is Judge Friedman's. I'm sorry, I'm reading through. I'm not even sure where to direct you on this, to be honest with you.
Okay, and now that's the thing, too, is I could file something on this cause number, trying to challenge her actions.
I'm just not sure who
but
you
that,
file it with.
Yeah, from what I understand, it would go back to the original court until a special judge is accepted, so it would end up going to Judge Thorne. It's
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just, it's still under this cause, isn't it? Well, it's still under this cause.
That in and of itself has created a whole. Every time I call, as soon as I give them the cause number, they're like, "Oh no, this is a Superior 3," and I'm like, "No, it's not."
Yeah, I understand that.
Then by the time I talk to somebody, I'm like, "Hello," they're like, "Hi, this is such and such." I'm like, "I talked to you 2 times already."
You may, if you file something under this cause with our court, I don't think there's anything that prohibits you from doing that.
At the minimum, it would put it on the record to where, in the future of this, it would be sort of,
Well, you may be able to get in that way, it may be a judicial determination of your question there, because
So
I'm in no position to be able to give you
now I understand kind of what you're saying. This was
anything on
actually
that, yeah.
my original thought process was I would have to file a petition for a determination on the clerk's actions in my petition for a determination. The only thing I can find that actually covers this is this statute that it is filed under, challenging a outside the power or duty of an agency. And I mean, from what I can tell, there is no procedure that outlines how the clerk's office interprets orders and abides by the trial rules. So it would be kind of a general action.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because, again, I don't have the trial rules in front of me right at this time, and I'm not even sure where I was going. It would be looking at it in that, but that may be your option. I don't know what other course you can do to find out the information you're asking. Really, you know, unless an attorney who has more legal background than I do, couldn't give you direction in that.
It seems the attorneys are having a harder time with this than I am. And I don't want to unnecessarily bill the county or something for some guy to stand behind me with his hands clasped. So, no, I probably won't seek out an attorney unless I absolutely have to.
Okay.
I would imagine merely filing any...
I don't have a good answer for you in this, you know.
No, I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to at least look into it. It's gotten fairly hairy. A lot of time has went by. At this point, the end result is almost just cosmetic. The remedy I was seeking is sort of dissipated almost at this point.
I can see where, you know, the clerk, since Judge Thurman recused himself initially, is seeing that, well, all of our judges have recused themselves. And
Well, see, the thing is
why the reason in that, I don't know how you're going to be able to, I'm not sure what your remedy is as far as getting the answer on that. And I assume you've talked to Clerk then, right?
Yeah, I actually,
okay.
ironically, I spoke with them on the 31st about this, and they, at that, because I was sort of like, hey, you know, 4 judges have recused. This was about 3 weeks ago. I was wondering if this was going to be, you know, things that I file sometimes sit on Kathy Kroback's desk, and she forgets about them, I guess. So I was just sort of calling to remind. And long story short, they had told me that because all these different recusals had taken place, they were going to send it back to Judge Alavisos because circuit court had subject matter jurisdiction to it. And I had explained to them, like, well, that's, you know, he recused October 10th. That's kind of, you know, pointless. It would, according to the trial rules, it should go to Superior 3 now. And they were like, oh, okay, we will talk to Kathy Kroback about it. Da, 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 da. And then I look and I'm like, oh, cool, she filed. So I get to reading it. I'm like, Circuit Court of Stark County. And I'm like, what? So now I've called and talked to her today. I talked to her herself today. And she's basically under the impression that any recusal at all is good enough, you know, for all the judges to have recused. So she's on some like minimum requirements standard or something. However, I mean, I can prevent this. I know I can stop this. I tried to better a dollar that it would end up in Superior 3 in the long run, just because I'm very well aware of how these. I'm not going all the way to Stark County. Long story short, I mean, I hear they got some beautiful countryside, but they got a hell of a meth problem. I really just don't want to go and hang out there for court alone. So I intend to just walk, right downtown and go to Superior 3 as the trial rules would allow me to do. Or if I'm gonna take a trip, I'm gonna probably shoot for the Indiana Supreme Court with this, based upon the complicated questions I seem to be asking in my original petition. But yeah, I mean, I can prevent this from going to Stark County. I can stop it. All that. It's just, as you know, I have a way of doing things that are a bit unorthodox, but they are somewhat effective. And I'm not really in the mood to start a bunch of shit with the county right now over Miss Crowback's actions. So I was sort of trying to prevent that. But I suppose it is what it is. I believe Mr. Friedman will probably be your counsel, as Doug Beege seems to be uneasy about it. So I will, yeah, I mean, I'll do what I got to do to prevent it. I thank you for your time.
All right.
As I said, I had to disclose some legal strategy here. So,
Well, that is not strategy. I'm on to the next case that I have to deal with.
to be honest, I would prefer convenience in this one. In the chillier weather, man, I really don't mind walking so much. So if I can just roll down here to the courthouse right downtown, as opposed to like having to go to Michigan City, that's great. But having to go to Stark County is just terrible. It's a nice little trip. Anyway, again, thank you. You have a great day. You're very helpful, just the same. Allowed me to sort of eliminate some options, I suppose.
Well, I'm sorry I don't have a complete answer there for you, but
I mean, you had more answers. You had more answers in the clerk's office, to be perfectly honest. So it's. I mean, I anticipated that your court would have a few more answers because it originated there, and some of the stuff that's being interpreted was by your court. I imagine you're somewhat familiar with this. So, but yeah, I'll do do whatever I can to do what I can on this. I suppose we'll probably see something the next week on this cause number. But other than that, thank you very much. You have a lovely day.
all right, you too. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Bye.